Hey friends, happy Thursday. I think so. Sorry. It is 7:30 at night and the grandkids and our son just left. So we are making some supper. Well, actually Mr. Jerry is. We're going to do pancakes and sausage. And I'm tired, folks. So, the grandkids got here. I don't know, Jerry went and met our daughter, Lindsay, halfway this morning at Mooville. That is our halfway point. And so they got back here about, I don't know, 9 o'clock, something like that. And 8:45. And then about 9:15, Jerry and Riker left for the auction, and Layla stayed back here with me. And she didn't want breakfast. Riker said he already had breakfast, so they left. And then I was finishing up my smoothie. I made a 5-point smoothie. I put spinach in it and mixed fruit that I weighed out, a cup's worth, and then a small banana and a cup of milk, and that was my smoothie with my cup of coffee. So I was having that as she was here, and she's just non-stop chit chat. I loved it. And she loves to crochet, and all I've taught her to do was single crochet or a chain, but she hasn't quite gotten it down to when you're crocheting to hang on to it so it doesn't twist around. And now you're doing it, you know, but she's trying, and she works on it every once in a while. But she brought to show me that she's going to do this blanket out of the big thick blanket yarn, and it had bumps in it and stuff. It's going to look beautiful when she gets done, and I told her. So she was working on that, and I gave the kids the books, and Riker took the 2, and she kept the other 2. And I told him, I said, you guys, these are for both of you, so if you all want to read all of them. So she put that in her backpack, but the whole time she was on the floor, she was just chit-chatting with me. And I don't know, about 9:30, 9:45, I said, oh, I got to make some bread. We're out of bread almost. And then she said that, she goes, Mima, do you remember that bread that you made that we got? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, I had a sandwich out of it. And she goes, that was the best bread I've ever had. I said, well, thank you. And I says, tell you what, how about if we make this loaf for you to take home with you, and you can help? So we went out in the kitchen, and she is 8 years old, and her nickname, her brothers always say, is Sass, because she's full of sass. And but I had her help, and I let her do. I laid out all the ingredients, and I would sit there and grab the measuring spoon, like the sugar. I only needed 2 tablespoons in it, and we used cane sugar. And I gave her the measuring thing, and I said, this is a tablespoon. And I said, I need 2 of these put into the bowl. And I said, make sure they're level. And she would do that, and she'd look at me, and I said, yep, looks good. And so we did the whole thing like that. And so we got her bread in the mixing stand so it could knead in the stand and I usually do about 9 to 10 minutes in it. And so we were doing that, and I started taking care of stuff, and she started helping me clean up and everything. So I let her do some cleaning because she told me that she likes to clean. And so we got that done. And then when it was all done and it needed to go into the bowl to rise again, I showed her how to take it out and everything. And so we got it in there, and then we let it double. And when I pulled it out and we uncovered the bowl, her eyes got really big because it was like twice the size. And I said, that means you did a good job. So, but then I had her help me as it came out, how to push it all down and roll it up into a loaf and tuck the ends in. And then I told her to pick it up and put it in the loaf pan. And she did that. And she looked at me so funny, and she said, Mima, is this going to look like the kind you did last time? And I said, yes, it will. And so we had to let it rise again. And when the time went off, my trick that I've been doing lately that's been working the best is I set it in the microwave. And what I do is I get a cup of water in like one of my mugs, and then I heat that up for about, I don't know, 2.5 minutes. And then when I go to put the bread in for it to do any type of rising in there, I will pull the cup out first, put the bread in and slide it back, and then I will put the cup back in there and close the door. And what that does is it keeps that whole area warm in there. And so I did that. So when the timer went off for the second rise, and I says, okay, here we go. If this is really rose above the top, I said, you've done an excellent job. And yeah, that thing was like this tall. And she was all grins. And I wish I could share pictures with you, but her bread turned out really, really good. Of course, we couldn't slice it because it was her bread. She wanted to take it home and everything, which was fine. And then I said, well, I guess we should make Peepaw's bread. And so we got it back out, and we just got everything back, and we just redid everything again, and we got it going. And she made the remark to me, she said, are we going to do cookies today? And I says, cookies? She goes, well, yeah, it seems like every time we come over, we do cookies with Peepaw. And they do. And I said, his peanut butter chocolate chip ones? And she said, yeah. I says, okay, well, I better get the butter out. So I set the butter out. And he was still at the auction, but he had messaged me that they were going to be on their way home. And I let him know that she was expecting him to do cookies. And he said, okay. But I had to, because by that time it was almost 2 o'clock. He stopped to McDonald's and he got us all lunch and everything. And yeah, I made that homemade ketchup. And Jerry was telling the kids about how I made this, ketchup. And they all wanted to try it because I had half of a pint in the refrigerator. And so I pulled it out and we poured some on, Jerry poured some on his plate just in case the kids didn't like it. And then they took their fries over and they dipped it in there. And my goodness, Riker, who is 11 years old, he sat right there. And his eyes got big, the big grin. Now, he's our picky eater. And he goes, that is the best ketchup ever. I says, oh. I said, okay. I said, I've never made it before. He goes, Meemaw, that's the best ketchup. He says, I need some on my plate, please. And Layla ate some and she goes, that's really good. And I tried it and I thought to myself, well, I know what Jerry's saying. It doesn't taste like ketchup, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's really good. But to the kids, it was the best ketchup ever. So I just had to laugh. And then they had to, then after lunch, Riker and Jerry went out and got their winnings because Riker actually did get something, and had to show me everything. And that is my beep on my iPad over there if you heard that ding. And he was just so so ecstatic over this and just so happy about it. Well, then him and Jerry and Layla went to make the cookies. And of course, I'm sitting out with Riker because he's showing me all the stuff that he won, and he's looking things up to see, you know, are they worth anything and all this and that, and reading descriptions. And then I hear Jerry said, well, maybe Mima ought to make some peanut butter. I'm like, the man wanted me to make homemade peanut butter. He is the one who's looked up recipes and everything. And then I said, well, I said, do you have a recipe? Because some people just blend it up and then that's it. Some people will doctor it up with some salt, honey, maple syrup, you name it, they put it in there. So he said, well, no, or they'll put oil in it. He says, I think you just try it without anything. So got out my Ninja, and he had bought some roasted Planters peanuts. I think they were unsalted. I can't remember. He got the kind that you're supposed to get. So I put it in the blender, and it blended, and they say it takes, in some blenders, you know, or processors, it could take up to 5 minutes. And so I had to keep scraping the sides down and stuff. But once we got it all done, of course, I took a little taste, and Jerry and Layla did, and we all just went, it was pretty darn thick. Pretty thick and pretty sticky. And so I blended it up a little bit more. Jerry did add a little bit of honey, probably a teaspoon of honey to it. Then I blended it for another minute, and that really helped the consistency. But it was still pretty thick, but it did taste good. So they used some of that into the cookie recipe. They used some of the butter that I had made into the cookie recipe. And then we had some farm fresh eggs that we got from our son and his wife. Well, their folks. That went into the recipe. So, but the whole idea was he was making these cookies, and the majority of them were going to go home with them. And that's what they did. And so they left with her bread. They left with a jar of ketchup because I had to send ketchup home. And they left with homemade strawberry jam for the bread. So then they stayed here. Our son got here about 5 o'clock, and then they stayed and he just chit-chatted and visited, which was really nice. And then our grandson Landon, who is Isaac's son, that lives out of state, Riker FaceTimed him, and Landon answered, and it was really nice because we all got to see him and say hi, and then they got to visit with him and stuff. And he's a sophomore in high school down there. So it was nice to be able to hear his voice and everything. And so, but then they all left. And then we came out, sat out in the sunroom, and we chit-chatted for a little bit. And about 20 after 7, he said something about making pancakes, and we have sausage. I haven't tracked a darn thing today. The only time I picked up my phone was to take a picture of Layla and Riker and doing all their stuff for us. And so Jerry's out there making supper, and I thought, geez, I got to get something up on here. So, but anyways, it was a good day. It was a good day. Didn't start out that way. We both were tired and had a dull headache most of the day, but it was very pleasant. It was like 57 degrees when we got up, and it got to 75 today, and the windows are open, And tomorrow night into Saturday, we're supposed to be getting more rain into Saturday morning, and then it's supposed to be humid again. And it's just this up and down roller coaster with the weather. Riker has a tournament this weekend, Saturday. First one is at 8:30, which we won't be going to because it's all going to be heavy rain that morning, and then 6:30 at night. So we'll see how that goes, if there's a game, because we're not for sure on the weather. So, but other than that, I did finish my socks, the self-striping Halloween socks. I did finish those this morning, and but other than that, I haven't worked on anything. Not a darn thing. I was just being a meemaw. And sometimes that's the best thing to be, isn't it? Is being a meemaw, a grandma, or whatever your grandkids call you. All I know is that we're tired, but it's a good tired and our hearts are full. And Layla even wrote me a little note and about made me cry because she was missing her meemaw. And she was so excited to be here today. And her mom even said to me, she said that she's been homesick for her meemaw because she misses her so bad. And I told Jerry, I said, I don't know why I'm so special to her. She has Lindsay's folks, and they see her at least once a week to babysit over there because they're that much closer. And so they do a lot with them. But with us, we don't get to see them that often. And I guess I just don't, I don't see myself as the special grandma meemaw like the others, because we don't take them places. We don't do anything special except for bake. But I also think that I remember my two grandmas, and that's what we did. We baked and we worked outside and we did things together like that. We didn't go places. We didn't do anything like that. Because you just were there with your grandparents. So, and I just hope and pray that they will remember. Can you hear that? That's my red woodpecker. You won't be able to see him, but he's over here in this area. He always chitter-chatters like that when he comes on. But I just hope and pray that they remember these memories the older that they get. And so will we. But today it was a good day. It was a good day to be with family, and it was a good day not to worry about what I was going to eat, what I was going to track, what I was going to do, or this or that. It was just a good day to be with my family and my grandkids. So anyways, I'm going to let you go because supper's going to be ready any moment. And I just wanted to hop on here and say thanks again, my friends. I just don't know why you all want to hear me talk and talk and talk. But I will try to do better at that. Because I do like watching podcasts and videos of people that sometimes I want just short things, but the majority of the time I am knitting, crocheting, doing something, and I just want to hear somebody. So I do understand that part of it, but thanks again, my friends. Stay strong. The weekend's almost here. We got this, and I will chit-chat with you on Friday. Thanks again.